how you can your stuff. If your email is compromised, hackers can do any of these things. Reset your systems and lock you out, send fake invoices or send fake payment links to your customers and get them paying them, access sensitive data, impersonate your business online, steal financial information, damage your reputation and trust. This is huge. I mean, in the social media world that we live in now, a major breach could kill your business. I think about what happened to Target several years ago. If that had happened today, I don't know that they'd recover.
And anymore, it's amazing how many even emails you get that, and people, what's amazing is a lot of people fall for these emails.
Yeah.
I'll get emails that say, well, here, this is your invoice for this item. If you didn't order it, call this number. No, you delete the email.
Yeah.
And then I've got emails where it says my Amazon account has been disabled, and I know it hasn't. So but there's people that fall for that stuff.
Sure, but some of those they're getting so much better too,
Yeah.
though. Especially, if one of those businesses got hacked, for instance, maybe some small business here in town, and they got access to that information, well, now you did have something going on with them, and they might send you over something. So now the business got hacked, and now every single one of those customers can also get hacked too. So I agree. I look at a lot of that stuff, and I'm like, well, who would fall for that? But
It happens.
It's absolutely
is.
does.
Yeah.
It does.
They wouldn't be doing it if it didn't work.
Yep.
But bad thing about it is you hear about it on the news and people still fall for it.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into this a little later too, but training is your best friend.
Yes.
So major corporations do have training requirements where monthly, sometimes quarterly, every employee has to go through some sort of cybersecurity training. We'll talk about that, some bonus content I got for you guys. It's good practice to do a quick check to see if your email's been compromised. Has anybody ever heard of Have I Been Pwned? Does anybody know this website? Or NameScan.io. These are two free websites you can go to and enter your email address, and it'll give you all the breaches that have happened with your email address and show you what was stolen. So if you find out your email's been compromised, don't panic. Change your password immediately. It's best practice no longer to use 8 to 12 characters. That's the old rule. That no longer works. A hacker can break that in about 60 seconds. So what we want you to do nowadays, the security advisory says, is we want you to use a long passphrase. So I'll show you an example here.
Now, what were them sites to go to?
I'll share those with you at the end of the presentation.
Okay.
Make sure you all get them. I'm going to give you a little homework first, though, so don't judge. All right, come on.
I have a presentation that I teach, and it's been so long I can't remember exactly what company it was, but there's an example I give on an employee was working for, I think, Global Engineering, and he got fired, and he set off a digital bomb that corrupted all of they lost millions and millions of dollars.
So this is an example of a secure password. You want your password to be long and be a phrase. And you can use words that you know. You just don't want somebody to be able to social engineer the information. So for me, for example, I've got Kaneohe. This is Kaneohe Marine Corps Base where I was stationed in Hawaii. 3-Lockett LD609. So LD Lockett 609, that was my address as a kid growing up. So even if somebody could socially engineer that I was stationed in Kaneohe, socially engineer that my address was 609 LD Lockett Road, the way that I've mixed them up, they're not going to be able to socially engineer that. And then I've added here Tommy Boy, which is one of my favorite comedy movies, and then 1990, because that's the best music era there is.
So now say like we got IdeaTech, so you want a password like that for your
Everything.
for like IdeaTech also?
Yeah, so what you brought up is how you can do this and be successful at it. You need a password manager nowadays.
Yes.
You've got to have a password manager that saves all this information so you don't have to remember it. What's the worst thing that we can do with a password?
Forget it.
Well,
Write it down.
write it down. The worst thing you can do with a password is take it, put it on a sticky note, and stick it to your monitor. I see that still to this day, and that is the worst thing you can do. There are all kinds of password managers out there. Do not use your web browser as a password manager. That's easy to steal. Find one like ProtonPass or LastPass or something like that, and have all your passwords stored in there. It'll even suggest passwords for you, so you don't even have to remember the password. And then it'll autofill on any site you go to, so you don't even know what the password is.
So saving your password on your computer is a bad thing?
Yes. Yeah, I work with the church in Wichita, and it's funny, every time I go in there and have to do something, they pull out a logbook that has all the passwords in it. And it's not secured, it's not behind a locked door, it's just out in the open. It's like,
Well, the people don't understand, like, you could take a picture, it's not like you don't have to worry about, you know, your kids coming over to visit, so who cares? It's taking a picture, and then your picture now has your password in it. You just don't realize that this stuff is getting out there.
And that's out on Google.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Images.
Yeah, yeah.
so if you do find that your email has been compromised, try and create one of those long passwords and then enable MFA on your email account right away. Google has their own OTP program, or you can get the Google Authenticator and enable that on your Gmail if that's what you got. Microsoft, it's the same thing. Enable that right away and you'll be protected. Any question? Okay, so storing files on your computer. We should not be doing that anymore. We want to put those files in the cloud. Don't store files on your one computer. Probably this sounds familiar to you guys, that one computer in the back of the shop that still has QuickBooks data from 2010 that you only turn on every tax season, that's a ticking time bomb. We need to put all of that stuff into the cloud. So when I say the cloud, what I'm talking about is your Google Drive or your OneDrive. You want to store all that stuff there. This way, if you have hardware failure, it's not lost. If any of you have ever priced out what it takes to recover data from a damaged drive, it's really, really expensive. You're probably starting about $1,500 just to do it. So, and there's no guarantee you're going to get the data back. They're going to take your $1,500 and they may tell you that you're not getting your data back.
Can you really trust Google?
Can you really trust Google? That's a loaded question.
I know, they're putting everything in their hands.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
my issue with it a little bit.
So, for those that don't want to trust a service like Google, there are other options out there, and we can do things with local storage that still backs up to the cloud. So, there are options to offset utilizing Google or Microsoft OneDrive or something like that we can talk about. Back in the old days, I'm kind of dating myself here, we used to keep storage on network attached storage. So you'd have an X drive or an S drive where you would store everything. A lot of businesses have moved away from that and they're putting everything in the cloud just because the maintenance is so much. You've got to upkeep a server, you've got to upkeep drives. That stuff's expiring in about 18 months. You know, the hardware's getting old or getting outdated. Now it's lasting longer. You're getting 3 to 5 years probably out of it. But it's still, then you have to have somebody who's monitoring and maintaining it as well. So it gets to be expensive. The cheapest option is a subscription like Gmail and just put it out in the cloud.
And you can also access it from anywhere.
Right. We're
That's
getting
what's
to that
nice.
too.
Yeah.
You're jumping ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So the other thing is theft, right? So if somebody steals your laptop, all your data's gone. You don't want that to happen. How many of us leave our, I'm guilty, how many of us leave our laptop in our car and go in and have lunch or whatever?
Never.
Yeah. I mean, 25 seconds, I could break your window and take your laptop, be gone. Physical damage, if you have a fire, or we're in Kansas, we have a tornado and it wipes your business off the map, your insurance will help you restore, but who's going to take care of your data if it's not there for you? It's gone. And then ransomware, this is the big one, right? So if a threat actor does get access to your password, if they do get access to data on a cloud device and try and ransom you, you can work with Google or whoever your provider is to get that data restored from a previous version, which eliminates the ransom. You no longer have to pay that ransom. If it's on your local drive, a lot of people are paying. And once you pay, the word gets out on the dark web and everybody knows you pay.
And I don't, so I may have already seen this presentation, and I don't remember if it was in there. There's also version control on
Yeah.
Google Docs.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too.
Years ago, it's probably, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago now, my wife worked for Reno County Abstract and Title. They ended up having to pay $30,000 to get theirs got hacked.
Yeah.
The owner of the pod clicked on something he shouldn't have.
Yeah.
They ended up paying $30,000.
Wow.
So these are some of the benefits, like Joey was talking about, of moving your stuff to the cloud, right? It's automatically backed up all the time. You can access it from anywhere. Protection from computer failure, act of God, whatever it is. And then easy file sharing and version history. So I worked at a time when we would email files back and forth, and you would have your final version of the document, and then the other 5 people on your team would have their final version. It would be final 3, final 2, and nobody knew which was the actual final version that we wanted to deliver to the client. Now you can work on a document and see in real time the edits that you're making and the edits that you're making, and you can comment and say, hey, I don't like that. Why don't we change it to this? Let's move this language to that. It's all happening in real time. So that is a benefit, the collaboration of easy file sharing. Questions on cloud storage? Does this all make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, this is probably the one that people hate the most, right, is the security updates, because they're always inconvenient. Show of hands, who still uses Windows XP in their business?
When,
I think
Not one. That's good. That's really good. Windows 10? Anybody? Okay. Probably need to move that to Windows 11. Who's using Macs? Anybody? Anybody using an Apple?
Oh, I'm like, what?
Okay. They're pretty good. They're not as, they used to be not as targeted as Windows was, but that's starting to change a little bit. So we got to keep these systems updated, operating systems, business software. This is probably the one that annoys you guys the most, right? I know it does me too. You know, right when you're in the middle of watching a training video or whatever, Chrome pops up and says, hey, you need to relaunch to do an update. Even though it's annoying, we have to do these things. So we want to keep everything updated, because what happens is the software engineers discover a vulnerability and they provide a patch because they don't want you to get hacked because it's bad for their business. So we want to get that patch applied as soon as possible, because as soon as the software company finds it, the hacker finds out about it and they're starting to try and take advantage of that vulnerability.
most of the time, when I get ready to shut my computer down, it says you got an update.
Yeah. Yeah, turning on automatic updates is one of the easiest things you can do to protect your systems, so please do that. Who knows the last time their router was updated? Anyone?
Oh, I don't.
Okay.
Now, does you like Idea Tech, do they update the routers? Or
I don't think they probably push automatic updates to them.
They will if you ask for it.
Well, how do you do an update on like an Idea Tech router?
You have to call the customer service and ask for it.
Okay.
Yeah. Does anybody use firewalls in their business? Okay. Do you guys know what a firewall is?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's say you own a speakeasy, right? Cool little place. Everybody wants to come in there, hang out, get drinks. You got your computers, your tablets, your phones, all protected in there. And your router is like the door to the speakeasy, right? You have to know the secret knock or the secret word to get in, but then anybody can come in and out freely. A firewall is like the bouncer at the door with his clipboard and his earpiece. You know, he may have a list of policies, firewall policies, that say these people can't get into the club, they can't get into the speakeasy, don't let them in. They may have other policies that says, you know, if this guy's wearing Kansas City Chiefs gear, he doesn't get in because this is a Dallas Cowboy fan club or whatever it is. So that's how a firewall works compared to a router. A router has very limited controls over who comes in and out. It'll do some gatekeeping, you know, make sure you have the right knock, the right password. But the firewall is what really protects your club. That's the bouncer.
And should you have more than what would naturally come on a computer?
What's that?
Like your Windows or whatever firewall that Windows computer or whatever that is, like you need that plus something?
Yeah, so the Windows firewall is only protecting that device, that computer. A physical firewall goes in front of your router where the internet connection comes in,
Okay.
and it's checking all of that traffic, acting as the bouncer and saying, you're not going this way.
To all the stuff that the router has access to?
Right.
Oh. Okay.
Make sense? Yes, sir.
So, if I'm jumping in, let me know, but is this the time to talk about website security and stuff like that? If we have a website and we're offering a service to where, like, tampering can be involved? Because I remember, like, 10 years ago or so, I was kind of like into bug bounty and like HackerOne and stuff like that. And so, like, if you're giving out gift cards or a product in exchange for money, making sure that, you know, the stuff is secured, whatever hosting you're using or add-on. Because I remember you used to be able to, especially with Shopify and even PayPal, you're able to like, manipulate the price and stuff. I mean, it's been quite a bit easier. I'm sure the security's better, but
So most of that stuff is built in. You may have to pay for a higher tier if you're using like a GoDaddy or one of those websites, a Squarespace. Joey can probably speak to this a little bit more than I can. So a lot of that stuff is happening at the website. There is no device that we're going to put on the website unless you're hosting your own website, which is
Yeah.
pretty rare these days.
Right. Yeah, we don't, I don't pay for any, I think it's all built in. I mean, I assume it is, I guess,
Yes.
because I don't really worry about it. All those servers are behind whatever they're hosting, and it's kind of on them at that point, right? So,
Yeah, GoDaddy has a tier that adds a bunch of extra security, but after reviewing what it was, I didn't feel like I needed it for my website.
well, that's the benefit too of using these platforms as a service. You know, you don't have to worry about some of the, you're offloading some of that stuff onto them, updates even.
Yeah.
You know, so I get the whole not trusting these guys because I do have some. It's you know you kind of have to just weigh the options here, and what are you gonna do? I mean, I kind of trust them.
There's a couple
Enough.
companies that everybody trusts.
Sure.
If they went out of business, or I mean, your pictures, I mean, all these memories and documents.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
Yep,
Yeah, put a
absolutely.
lot of trust
And
in
you know, it's the thing of like, it's probably a lot worse though to trust that your machine is gonna be safe than it is to trust these guys. It's 6 one way, half a dozen the other.
It
It
is,
really
get
is.
it.
I
It's
totally
tough,
understand
it's
that.
tough, bro.
So one of the applications where you might want to have like local storage, Curtis Copley is a good example, right? So because of the ink designs, what they do, they work with really large photo images and stuff like that. So some of these images are gigs on gigs on gigs. So uploading that to the cloud, then having to bring it down to manipulate it, it's a lot of back and forth and it takes time. So he might want to have, and he's actually talked to me about having a local LAN where he can store all those files and get them quickly, and then we have a backup service that backs it up once a week or whatever it is.
but that's why it's also important too, like when you're making a website. Because I remember like with my parents' business, I remember they had a call, somebody called them up, let me build you a website. Well, if it's not like a trusted or you don't know, you know who the hosting is and stuff like that, anybody can pretty much mess with your business at that point.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
social engineering is the hardest one to try to watch out for. People are sneaky.
Yeah, so anything you can do to turn on automatic updates if you don't have someone like me managing your updates, go ahead and do that. And then protection number 4 is called modern endpoint protection. We moved away from antivirus because over time it became obvious that antivirus wasn't enough as hackers evolved. So it became known as endpoint protection. And an endpoint is anything that attaches to your network, right? Anything that's for an end user. So it could be your phone, it could be a tablet, it could be your cameras. Now it's home automation stuff that's attached to your network. So we want to have endpoint protection. The good news is these solutions are often complex in how they protect your stuff, but they're not complex to use, which is really nice. So what does modern endpoint protection do? It detects ransomware. It's got built-in AI to where it can see suspicious behavior when things are trying to change files or move around laterally. It'll recognize that. It'll block malicious files, and then it monitors continuously.
So does that come in a software, or how does that?
It's usually a software that you have to install on your devices. there's so many flavors out there. I'm not going to endorse anyone specifically. It just depends on your business case and what you're trying to protect and how much you want to spend ultimately. But you can get free antivirus that does a good enough job if you've got one computer and you're not storing any data on it. You just want to protect yourself. There's like AVG, which is free. That works pretty well. A lot of times it's just going to detect. It's not going to remove until you pay for a tier.
Yeah.
So be aware of that.
Well, just like me, I just got my own computer that I use for everything, so I wouldn't need to spend a fortune
No, you wouldn't need to spend a fortune.
so AVG's pretty good.
It's one of the free ones out there that's pretty good.
Now, is System Mechanic any good?
I'm not familiar with that one, so I can't tell you.
Well, what's a good, basically, whole software that'll keep your computer safe and help clean it up, or is there?
What I would do, if it was me these days setting it up, is I would find one that integrates with Microsoft Security. So Microsoft's done a really good job over the last several years of building in their detection into their security. So there's several out there that are cheap, that I'm talking $3.99, that are just a layer on top of that. And it does some of this right here where it's detecting the behaviors, whereas Microsoft may not do the behavior analysis. That's all that layer is really doing, is recognizing those behaviors.
So what do you search for then, when you go to search for software?
Sentinel-1 is one that comes to mind. Huntress, Sentinel-1. Huntress is another one that works pretty well. Any other questions on endpoints? Okay, protection number 5, verified and monitored backups. Backups are your last line of defense when everything else fails. So if you have computer failure, ransomware, accidental deletion, a backup will save you. The important thing is that backups need to be automatic, they need to be secure, and they need to be tested regularly. I know from experience that if you don't make a backup and test it, that's really, really bad. So when I was working, again, for ExxonMobil, we had a firewall that the person who did the design on it forgot to save the running config, and when the power went out and the UPS died after several hours because the power was out, it was in Houston and there was a major hurricane that it came through. When it came back online, the whole config was missing. Luckily, I documented everything, so I had the running config, or the config that I built, in my notes file and was able to restore it pretty quickly. But they could have been down for several days because I forgot to save the running config, something as simple as that. So backups are important. Who uses QuickBooks Desktop? Anyone?
I was, but it was.
You said
Okay.
QuickBooks?
QuickBooks Desktop, not QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop. Usually you have one. With QuickBooks Desktop, it runs a backup, I think, once every week, but it's saving that local to your drive. So if your computer fails, you lose that QuickBooks Desktop, so it doesn't backup file, so it doesn't do you any good. The other thing that would be good is to keep your backups. If you're doing manual backups yourself, like putting them on a USB drive or something like that, don't keep them in the office where your computers are at. Again, if you have a fire or natural disaster, all that stuff is gone. So take it home, put it in a fire safe, put it in your box at the bank, do something to protect it so it's safe. And like it says down here, a backup that cannot be restored is not a backup.
We just went through that with our DR
Yeah.
at work. They didn't know how to back up, or they never backed up the SQL server, one of our SQL servers, and we wanted to update one, and they were like, well, just throw it on the DR and then disaster recovery. And they're like, oh, well, we've never actually. I'm like, well, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
How
do we know it's going to work?
How are you even testing this stuff?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So when you say backup, you mean like something like you could just upload online that goes to the cloud or something? Or?
Yeah, there's a lot of them where you can back up your whole computer if you want. Like Backblaze is one that backs it up to the cloud, and then you have it safely stored. So if you ever had to restore your computer from backup, you could do that. There's a bunch of different ones out there. So these 5 protections work together. Each one of these protections addresses a different type of risk, but together they create a comprehensive defense that prevents most major business disruptions. When implemented correctly and monitored consistently, these 5 protections dramatically reduce your risk of data loss, downtime, cyber incidents. Most businesses that experience major technology disasters were missing one or more of these essential safeguards. So these 5 work together to create this nice shield of protection for you guys. So as a cybersecurity guy, these are the things that we want to do. We want to try and get as many of these put in as we can. In my work with small businesses across Kansas, I regularly see companies that are doing everything right operationally, but unknowingly leaving gaps in their technology protection simply because no one has shown them what to look for. This is why conversations like this are so important. And then bonus content. I told you guys I was giving you 5, but I thought I'd sweeten it up with a little bonus content. All these 5 protections do a lot to protect your business, but we always have to consider the human factor, aka Cindy, or in my case, Cindy. Cindy is your best friend's daughter who's interning with you, Cindy who scrolls Twitter and TikTok all day on the company tablet, Cindy who uses the work email you provided her to set up her Shopify account, Cindy who opens every email and clicks every link, right? So next thing you know, we want to avoid Cindy's. So technology alone isn't enough to protect your business. Human error remains the leading cause of security breaches. So we need to stop phishing, understand what strong passwords are, like we talked about a little earlier, safe browsing habits, data handling. So there are free sites out there that you can do cybersecurity training for. I'll share these with you. You can go ahead and take a picture, but I'll share these with you. Cyber 101, I did this whole one just to see what it was like. It's animated, it's good content, it's a little dry like most of the cybersecurity stuff is, but it's free, which is the main thing, right? You don't even have to put in your email address. You can take all the classes without ever signing up, so they won't contact you or anything. Wiser will make you sign up. You'll have to put in an email address, but this is a little bit more fun. They're shorter, 1-minute videos. They're really over the top, so somebody who has a short attention span like Cindy might enjoy these a little bit more. Their basic plan is completely free, but I guarantee you will get a call from a sales representative to see if you want to upgrade. So if you're okay with dealing with that, this one will be more enjoyable for you. Any questions? Okay, this is what 2 Labs Tech does. How we help: assessment of your current security posture, implementation of all 5 protections, ongoing monitoring and maintenance, rapid response when issues arise, regular security updates and patches, and then employee training support. Like it says down there, I typically don't speak tech jargon. I try to keep my plain English explanations because I know not everybody is a tech whiz and not everybody is as passionate about this stuff as I am. So that's what you want. You want somebody who's really passionate. I hope today's session has been helpful in giving you practical ways to protect your business. If at some point you decide you need an IT partner, we would absolutely welcome the opportunity to work with you. But whether you choose 2 Labs Tech or someone else, the most important thing that you can is choose a provider who doesn't just fix things when they break, right? A good IT provider should be a partner. They should prevent problems, protect your data, and think strategically about how your technology supports your business. That is the one thing that I keep gaining clients because of. A lot of clients have come to me recently because the MSP, managed service provider, that they have doing IT work for them now is just break fix. And they feel like when they reach out to them, their concern goes into a vacuum and they don't really hear back until days later. So I've created an MSP checklist that I'll share with you all, where if you decide you're going to engage with an IT provider, these are the questions you should be asking in your initial meeting. And I would hope you would ask me those same questions, and I'll try and answer them to the best of my ability. But you want somebody who's going to think about your business, think about the way technology works in your business, and brings things to the table, right? Have you thought about, are you using digital signage? How is your security posture? What are your cameras doing? How can I help you sell more widgets? Make sense? Okay. If you're not following me, please scan my QR code and follow me. I'll offer all you guys a free assessment for attending today's event. This is what I'll do in the assessment. All you have to do to get started is give us a shout. Either go to our website, there's a form you can fill out there. You can email me at info@twolabstech.com, or you can give us a call at that phone.
This is your Facebook page then?
Yep. That's it.
Now, you said, what are them sites you go to that check to see if your email's been?
I'll send those to you. If you guys would do me a favor, what we'll do is I'll take one of the pictures or videos that we've got and I'll post it. If you'll go in and we're going to do some of the social media stuff that Joey said. If you'll like, comment, and share, I'll message you with all 3 of the checklists so you can use them.
It's a good idea.
Now, go on what, your Facebook or on what page?
Yeah, on my Facebook page, we'll share about this HutchConnect event.
Okay.
So you'll see it as a HutchConnect event. Just like, comment, and share. And the
Okay.
comment can be, hey, this was good info, or Christian, you paced around too much, or, you know.
And then you'll give us the sites to go to.
Yes,
which-
yes, sir.
You know, if we don't, you won't give us it.
I'll still give it. I'm trying to force the algorithm to work for me. Any other questions? You know, we can open it up for any tech questions that you have. Anything you're seeing in the news or whatever.
There's a lot of companies that offer like filters, like Focus on the Family has a program where you can sign up with them, so everything basically goes through their servers and network before it goes back to your computer system. Do those seem to be pretty safe and secure?
You're talking about for your kids to prevent them from
Right.
accessing sites that you want. Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Most of the ones that I've seen are pretty good. If you use IdeaTech, just so you guys know, I used to work at IdeaTech. I was their IT manager and their customer service director. So I know a lot about all of their stuff. They have stuff, parental controls that they can turn on right in your router, and you would have access to them on your phone, and you can even choose quiet time. So, you know, kids, it's time to work on the homework. We're turning off the internet for your devices. Your devices will still work, but theirs won't.
So we have
They charge you so much
IdeaTech.
extra for that though.
Mhm.
They charge you extra for that.
Yeah.
Are they now?
Yeah.
They didn't used to.
So
Yeah,
we
because
also
I wanted
realize
to do
that
it, and
Yeah.
I was like, I don't pay
if
for
they
it.
have phones and they have a phone plan, then it's not, if they turn the Wi-Fi off, then
Right.
they can circumvent it.
Yes, there are ways around it, sure.
Yeah, so we have IdeaTech. Can we rely on them to have our stuff kind of protected, or not so much through their network?
I mean, they don't enable a ton of protections, right? IdeaTech is focused on giving you a ramp to the internet, and they don't want to play internet police, which is understandable as an internet service provider. They don't want to do that. So they always recommend, especially for businesses, either you have your own IT person or you work with a managed service provider like myself to understand your risk profile and see what we can do to adjust.
So like every time, so we like downloaded malware program.
Malware.
Malware,
sites.
Malware
Is that a
bites.
good program to utilize for
Yeah,
some cases?
it works. Most of these programs are pretty much the same at this point. They're all using the same definitions and the same behavioral analysis. So the only time you get in trouble is like, do you guys remember, was it last year, the CrowdStrike event that took down like the airlines for
Yeah.
10 days? So the only time you really run into major issues with those things is when they do something wrong. And that was a case of where one of their engineers implemented some code incorrectly, and it took a while to get back up. We were back up in 2 hours, but that's because we're good.
So if you've already been hacked a few different times in a few different ways, then obviously you're doing a few of these things wrong. And there's ways to prevent from it happening again,
Mhm.
or are you just kinda like this gullible one out here that you're just gonna keep going for?
So, yes and yes. There are things that you can do to fix it, but once hacker gets your information out onto the dark web, and that's where, you know, one of these websites like I have been found is good. It's out there for anybody to use. So while this particular hacker who got you one time may leave you alone, somebody else will see your information and try and go after you again, and try and go after you again, and try and go after you again. And they won't stop until they see that those protections are in place, and they say, man, this is getting harder. It's not worth my time and effort anymore. I'm having to do more to try and get that data that I want.
What kind of data do they benefit from? Like, I don't know, like, I just feel like I've been hacked so many different ways. I've had my credit cards hacked, I've had my Gmail hacked, I've had, multiple times had my bank accounts hacked. Gmail, my phone, my.
Mind you, I left this in a taxi in Mexico and got it back, and nothing was touched.
You know, my printer, I have the same concept as what Copley does. I have a print shop and an embroidery business, so I use a lot.
We have a lot of files, a lot of
Files and
data.
technology.
Yeah.
So they've hacked that computer as well. So, like, I feel like I'm just like this, but I see why after your presentation. Why? But I'm not a tech person. I don't wanna be a tech person. I make things.
Right.
That's what I do.
Mhm.
I don't wanna learn your job. So I guess I need to talk to you some more, because I don't wanna have to do that, but I don't wanna have to worry about it either.
Right.
And
Well,
I'm
we've
gonna-
replaced computer
But
because
I-
of it before too.
Yeah, I have literally had to completely redo my banking system and everything because they got into me and I couldn't get back in.
It's essentially an insurance plan.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's
Yeah.
the reality of the situation.
Yeah,
This is the type, this is the direction that I always try to go, is if we could find a way to do it, I would like to have all our personal stuff on a separate system, and then have the business stuff on the business system.
I would absolutely
But it's
recommend
hard
that.
to transition from, well, I gotta put this laptop away to go to this one, back and forth all the
I
time.
work from home.
So she uses the same computer for everything.
Ask Abby about using different accounts, cause I'm a big, it is a pain, you have to go back and forth between them, but we have separate Google accounts for the business, and, you know, even messages, even chatting, those are two separate things.
Yeah.
But once you train yourself to do it that way, it's not, and there's some ways that you can make it a little bit easier, you know, I understand the machines and stuff, but again, if you're using, you know, we use Google Drive. If you're using Google Drive, you can access that on any machine,
Right.
you know, so now it's not a matter of a different machine, it's the same machine, just which account are you using?
Right.
So,
Okay.
But like our wide format, 9-foot long HP printer,
mhm.
okay, that operates off of a desktop out in the shop, and then she's got a laptop downstairs that she does all of her personal
Yeah,
accounting.
that's separate.
Yeah, and then she has a laptop downstairs that she does all of her personal accounting and everything, personal business on, and then that also controls our embroidery machines. So I'd like to
Mostly
find a way to
because my other
separate,
laptop crashed.
I'd like to find a way to separate the stuff that's attached to the equipment and have it blocked and firewalled so the equipment's protected, and then the laptops are basically, could be pitched if they were
Sure.
jacked with.
Well, there's some, you know, depending on how in-depth you wanna get with virtual machines and stuff
Right.
like that
Mhm.
too. I mean, you could go on, it's a rabbit hole.
See, that's what we need help with, those, to
Yeah.
get that ironed out, so
You
that
sure
this is
you wanna
protected
give
here.
a free business assessment?
He's like, yeah.
I'm sure.
You guys need all of this stuff.
Yeah, the free business assessment.
Identity
like,
Tech
yeah.
doesn't even like to talk to me because they're like, yeah, it's that lady.
It's that
Because
lady.
I'm a home business, but Gregory, okay, I have one of Gregory's printers, and I have an industrial embroidery machine, plus I have a home. So I have all of this, and I have a lot of Wi-Fi vacuums. But, so, like, yeah, I'm in a unique situation, and I talk to leading edge technology, because they take care of South Hutch's stuff, and they were like, yeah, no, we don't deal with people like you, and I'm like, so,
People like you.
you know, I was in a big enough business for them to handle, so they just didn't even wanna talk to me.
So that's why I started Mission Niche. It was partly my work at at idea tech that sent me down this path, right, is that I realized that small business in the rural and agricultural communities, I even interviewed with another MSP, and the guy during the interview tells me, I don't want any of those people outside of Wichita. They don't have any money. I only want to focus on businesses in Wichita. And I just thought, look, that's silly. I mean, if I go to a farm and work on a farm, that guy's got $6 million worth of equipment in his shop, and you're telling me he doesn't have any money, he may not want to spend with you because you're not building that relationship and that trust with him. So that's kind of why I decided on this niche. I saw that there was a gap, and we were getting calls at Idea Tech for people not necessarily needing troubleshooting support with their internet. They wanted help with their printer, their laptop, and stuff like that. And we were having to turn them away, and we were trying to recommend MSPs to them, but a lot of the times the Reach Solutions and the leading Edge Solutions or whatever didn't want to work with the mom and pop shop at home. That's my bread and butter. That's where I want to work. So I'd be happy to work with you guys.
Sweet.
Glad to see you.
Anything else?
So what you'll do is like we'll bring the computer in and you'll get that set up and then monitor stuff. And
I work where you work, so wherever your workstation is at most, I'll come to you and I'll help you get all that stuff set up.
But then after that, is it just monitoring stuff or?
Yeah, if you decide to go with like a monitoring plan, what I do is I put a light agent on your computer, and then I can handle all of your updates, all your antivirus, all that stuff remotely.
Done. Sign us up.
Okay. Sorry guys, that went longer than we thought it was today.
No, that was a great presentation.
That was it.
No, it was, Kim.
I like that it